Morning, good morning. And I want to say Merry Christmas, but I know Merry Christmas is like kind of behind us. I was talking to my friend Molly yesterday, and she's like, we have I told her, I was like, we're doing all week Christmas because my oldest son couldn't get here until Monday, the day, a couple days after Christmas. So we didn't do Christmas until Monday. And she's like, girl, we do all year Christmas. Like, I kind of think sometimes we all do Christmas for a year because um, these days we just kind of get what we want when we want it, right? But I thought that was such a great idea. So she was talking about how she has a Christmas tree up year round, and I'm like, man, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like when Christmas is over and taking down everything, the thing I miss the most is the lights on the tree. Like, I love just sitting in the living room or the wherever the tree is with the lights all turned off and just the Christmas tree lights on. So I was like, maybe I could just, like, I don't think I can convince the fam bam that I need to keep the tree up all year long, but like, maybe I just need a room with a tree in it, right? With just lights on it. So how was your Christmas? Tell me how your Christmas was. I know I'm deviating a lot. I went off on a little tangent there. Good morning, Paul. Good morning. I'm so glad to see you. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Obviously, we're marching towards the new year. And can you believe it's 2022? Or almost 2022 already? Like, it's just crazy. It seems like 2021 just flew by. It's hard to believe that we're getting ready to enter a whole new year. So, um, today I want to share some tax write offs, if you will, that will maybe you haven't thought of, didn't know that you could do these. If, again, some of these are things that I have had to learn the hard way over the years. It's been a lot of, okay, wait a minute. Let me back up for a second. So at the end of the year, obviously we're at this, okay, the end of the year, we're getting ready for the new year. But one of the realities of being a business owner is that we have to file taxes. Like, right? We have to pay the darn taxes. So that is always a problem. I always hated that part of it, and getting prepared and understanding that I needed to get all my ducks in a row, get everything to the accountant. Now, you may not have an accountant. You may be doing your taxes on your own. And if that's the case, this is going to be super important to you, because you're going to need to know what small business tax write-offs are available to you as an online business owner. And sometimes I think lots of times we don't catch all of those things. And the reason I say that is because over the years, I'd go to my accountant with all my things, and he's like, well, if you had kept track of this, or if you'd have spent money on this, you could have wrote that off. And I'd be like, what? Like, my tax bill would be like, I remember one year, my highest tax bill where I had to write a physical check was like, I think it was like $80,000. And it was like, that was such an ouchie. Like, oh my gosh, like writing a check for that much money to the man was hard. And then, in hindsight, my accountant's like, yeah, if you'd have kept track of this, or if you had spent money on this, and I didn't know those things. So my intention today is to share life lessons that I've learned. I am not an accountant. I want to be very clear on this. I'm not an accountant. If you pick up something today and you're like, I haven't been writing that off, ask your accountant about it, because there's a variety of things that might come into play. Maybe your state law is different, or anyway. I'm just throwing out what I've learned over the years. Make sure that you verify it on your own, because I'm not trying to give you tax advice. I'm trying to give you ideas of things that might be a write-off for you. In most cases, I think all these things are very applicable for every business owner. I don't think you're going to run into any problems with this. But again, I have to do the disclaimer and say, hey, making sure that I don't claim that I'm an accountant, that kind of thing. So I just want to, it's kind of like saying, I'm not an attorney, or I'm not a doctor, or, whatever, So real quick, just dropping back in with, I forgot to ask this question. Where in the world are you today? How are you? What's the weather like where you are? And then we'll get started on I've got 10 write-offs that you might not be aware of. Now, The first one, I think that a lot of people push back on spending money on marketing their business. And I'm just here to tell you, if you are not marketing your business in some capacity each and every day, you are wrong. And it's a fascinating dynamic because most people, a lot of, well, I won't say most. I don't want to make that's a big statement, but a lot of people, let's put it that way, a lot of people get up and they're trying to do all the things every day in their business. And yet they omit the most important thing, which is what could they do to bring money into their business that day. Most people aren't seeing to those things, so that can sometimes be a problem, right? So today, the first thing I have for you is something that a lot of people push back on. It's spending money to market their business. But guess what? That is a tax write-off. So advertising and promotion, things like Facebook ads, Google ads, fees for sponsored content. Like say, for example, you know somebody who has a community of people that would be perfect for your thing. Let's say you have a keto workbook, for example, or I'm sorry, a keto, not a workbook, a keto recipe book, right? And you know somebody who, or you see somebody out there in the space, and they're like, they serve your community or people, your people. They're the people that are in their community would be a perfect fit for your keto um, recipe book. But so you reach out to that person and you say, hey, Tom, let's just say it's Tom, Susie, whatever name. I have this keto recipe book. I'd love to introduce it to your community. I'd love to pay you a little fee for allowing me to do that. That's what's called a sponsored influencer gig, essentially. And you can do that. Anybody can do that. You can reach out to people that have communities. You can coordinate and negotiate, if you will, a fee for getting in front of their community. That's a write-off. If you're doing Facebook ads, that money that you spend on Facebook ads is a write-off. Google ads, that is a write-off. So did you know that? I think sometimes people are so worried about the money that they spend on promotion and advertising that they don't realize that that is an opportunity for a tax write-off. So just saying. Good morning, Malaya. I love your name. 67 in Northeast Texas this morning. Well, it is, I would say it's about the same here in Tampa. It's a little overcast. I'm going to have to go, now that I'm asking y'all what the weather's like where you are. Yeah, it's 72 here and a little overcast, but it's supposed to burn off. I think it's going to be a beautiful day today. It's been in the 80s all week here. It's been beautiful. Okay, so quick question for those of you who are spending money in this lane, like promoting your business in some way and paying to do it. Did you know that you can write that off on your taxes? So that would be the advertising and promotion again. The second thing that I think a lot of people don't understand that they can write off is your website and associated fees. So let me give you a couple of examples. Like most of us are paying for a domain name. We purchased it initially and then we have to renew it every year, right? That can be a tax write-off. You pay for your hosting. You pay subscription fees for things like Wix, or if you're using Wix, or what's the other one? It's not coming to mind right offhand, but there's a couple of those website companies out there that make it, not that I recommend them. I think you're way better off with your own domain on a WordPress platform, or a WordPress installation. But there are a lot of people who use sites like Wix, etc., to make sure that they can get their websites up and operational quickly. So there's subscription fees. You have to pay for that on a monthly basis. It's kind of a replacement in some cases for your, quote unquote, hosting fees, but you're still paying for it. Maybe you pay for specific types of plugins, like, we pay for Yoast and Pretty Links, and there's a bunch of plugins that we pay for that keeps my business operational. Those are things I can write off. Stock photos, like if you're using stock photos for your blog or anything as it relates to your website or creating content for your socials. I would say though, from a website perspective, it's if you're buying stock photos, I think, and you want to keep it clean and in this lane, make sure that you're leveraging that content on your website, because that all those things are like a tax write-off. Did you know that? Like, for years, I didn't know that I could write those types of Squarespace, Weebly. Those are all, thank you guys for dropping those in. But those are all, again, tax write-offs. And I would bet you that many of you may not have known that and might not have been taking those deductions. And sometimes I think people are like, well, that's not a lot of money. So, like, is that really going to make a big difference? It adds up. It adds up quick, too. So if you start adding, like I've probably, I don't know, over the years, I get so many ideas. And so I've got all these domains, that I've purchased over the years. And, again, if you add that stuff up, it adds up very, very quickly. Your hosting fees, anything that you are doing in pursuit of your website is a tax write-off. Okay. So that's the second idea or suggestion that I have that you might not have been aware of. Professional fees. So let's talk about this in the context of what a lot of us push back on. Well, I can't afford this, that, or the other thing. I can't afford an accountant because I'm going to have to pay for that. Or I can't afford to get legal advice because I'm going to have to pay for that. Those fees are a tax write-off for you. Another thing, and this kind of ties back into your website too, but all of our websites have to have terms and conditions, privacy policies, things of that nature. There are actually websites out there where you can go, and unfortunately, I don't know what they are off the top of my head. That's not the important part here, but there are places where you can go where you can input your details and it'll auto generate your terms and conditions and your privacy policies. And then you pay a small fee for those things. Those are types of things where you can write that off. Those are, again, I think they're, again, a lot of times people think, oh, these are small things, but all this stuff adds up tremendously. So Barb says she is a tax deduction expert. I love that. But that's the point, is that like lots of times we don't know what options are available to us. And if we keep track of this stuff, then at the end of the year, we look back on it and we're like, oh my gosh, look at how much money this is deducted off of the money that I would have had to pay to the man, right? So when I say the man, I'm saying the government. Okay. So I just want to be clear about that, in case you're like, what's she talking about? We want to keep as much of this money that we earned, our hard-earned money, in our pockets instead of giving it back to the government. So the professional fees, legal fees, accountant fees, all of those types of things are things that we can write off. Now, this is a biggie, and I really want to stress this right now, because if you've already purchased things over the course of the year, that's one thing. Meaning, if you've bought a course or invested in a mastermind, coaching of some sort, mentorship, books, workshops, anything of that nature, that is a write-off. And you can deduct it. So, and the reason I wanted to focus in on this a little bit is because there's still opportunity here. If you know you're going to owe taxes, for example, or you're worried that you need additional tax deductions and you're not quite sure, you've still got a day, basically 2 days, the rest of today and tomorrow, to invest in yourself and in your business and have that write-off for 2021. So like websites and professional fees and stuff like that, they're going to be a little bit harder to like just run out and spend some money on that kind of stuff, because it's a month after month kind of thing, right? Or it's a one-time off. But with education, if there's been something like there's a course out there that you've been eyeing and you're like, I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, or if you need some mentorship, or you want to join a mastermind, now is the time so that you can take advantage of that for 2021, meaning you can write that off in 2021. That's a powerful, in my opinion, a powerful motivator to decide to pull the trigger on certain things. So I'm going to share a couple of things that I have put together potentially that might help. Now, when I say this, I don't mean this and I'm trying to sell you anything, but if this helps you in some capacity, then please feel free to take advantage of this. I have my Business Builders Academy, which I've got marked off. We're doing a end of year kind of like New Year special, if you will. There's 60 plus courses. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you want to just proceed at your own pace, then definitely consider this as an option to spend some money that gives you a tax write-off. It's a lifetime access right now. We've never offered a lifetime access to my Business Builders Academy ever before. So it's a great price. Check it out at kimgarst.com/lifetime BBA. And again, that's gives you an opportunity to take advantage of the education deduction. But if it meets the need that's going to give you some value is the only reason that I want to make sure that this is an opportunity for you. If you, again, are a DIYer, you want to learn at your own pace, have access to this for as long as I'm in business, which I've been around for a long time. I plan to be around for a long time to come. So this might be an option for you. Again, there may be other things out there that you have your eye on, or somebody else's course, or a mastermind, or a workshop of some sort. You've still got time to spend the money in this year so that you can take the tax deduction. If you, on the other hand, know that you're ready and you want to be prepared in 2021 for something bigger, like if you want to take what you know and put it into a training course, or if you want to create a group coaching program, a highly leveraged offer, if you will, then maybe my Design to Scale is an opportunity for you. We'll find out. Book a call. I've got lots of times on the calendar between now and tomorrow to make sure that I'm available for everybody that is interested in maybe, again, a tax deduction for their business. All right. So we'll set all that to the side for now. The fifth thing I have for you is interest expenses. Did you know that you can write off your business liabilities from an interest perspective? So your credit card interest on business related credit cards. So you have to keep in mind that this is only for business. Like you can't write off your personal, oh, really? My personal credit card, I can write off all the interest on it? I didn't know that. No. This is just business related. If you have a credit card that's a business credit card, finance charges, loan interest. So like if you've done a PayPal loan, for example, at the beginning of last year, I did a PayPal loan and all the interest on that was tax deductible. You can do exactly the same thing. So any type of business liability where you've borrowed money, there's an interest attached to it, or if there's a credit card attached to the business name, any interest on that credit card can be written off. So did you know that? I think that's a fascinating thing. So I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So let me go to number 6, merchant processing fees. Y'all, when I found this out, I was like, really? We can do that? So do you accept payments? If we're in business, of course we accept payments, right? Like, some of us use Stripe, PayPal, Authorize.net, Square, whatever you are using to process your payments. Those processing fees are a tax write-off. Really? Who knew? It's like when I found that out, I thought that was very fascinating. So yes, even if it's not totally paid off, it's any interest that has accrued on that credit card, Malaya, over the course of the year. So you can write that off. So we were just talking about processing fees, merchant for processing fees. So if you're accepting payments from, and of course, if we're in business, we are accepting payments in some capacity, you can write off your processing fees. So software and online services. Now, this is fascinating to me because, again, this is something I didn't know. Obviously, like if you're using an accounting software for your business, like Intuit or QuickBooks or anything like that, that is a write-off. Scheduling software, social media schedulers, you guys. So like I use Agora Pulse. I can, and what is that price point? If that's like $49 a month or whatever it is times 12, again, that adds up, right? Cloud storage. That's something we use in conjunction with my website, actually. Or if you're using Amazon S3, that's considered a write-off. If you have a task management program, like we use Monday.com, that is a tax write-off. And if you're thinking about this through the lens of whatever your monthly outlay for that is, times the 12, all of this starts to really add up very quickly. If you're using a shopping cart, we use ThriveCart, so I've only been, because it's a one-time fee, I was only able to write that off the first year I paid for it, because the way ThriveCart works is you pay for it once and you use it forever. It's a lifetime purchase. But if you're using like Samcart, which is a $97 a month outlay, then 97 times 12, you can write that off. So these are all things that, you might not have thought of, but you can write off. All right. So this is a huge, huge and important thing. You're trying to find all the things in your business that could add up to a lot of money at the end of the day. So my seventh thing for you is those software and online services fees that you're paying for. I'm just going to throw this one in too. This kind of revolves back to the website. So like for me, I use Deposit Photos and I pay a monthly fee for that. I could also write that off. So subscription kind of based things, anything that you're paying a fee for that is in pursuit of doing your business, conducting your business, those are write-offs. Hint, hint, hint. Okay. So that's the seventh thing for you. Subcontractors. So again, lots of times I hear people say, well, I can't afford to build my team, or I can't afford help, or I can't afford, right? It doesn't have to be somebody that's full-time. It could be, you could have hired somebody to help you. Like if you're doing a launch, for example, and you needed a little assistance, maybe you hire a VA for a period of time, a 30-day window, right? Or you hired a graphic designer or a photographer or a funnel builder. Anytime you subcontract work out, you can write that off. Now, here's a small caveat. And this is an important one, because I got caught red-handed on this one year, where I had spent a ton of money on subcontractors and I did not know this. So this is laying in. If you pay them more than $600, you have to get them to give you a W-9. Okay. So that you can write it off. So one year I had spent it was a crazy amount of money. It was almost $200,000 in subcontractor fees. And because I didn't know about the $600 limit, and I didn't have the W-9s, I couldn't write that money off. So, your amounts may be, but usually if you're going to hire somebody, it's usually more than $600 in some capacities, not in every capacity, but again, if you're going to hire a funnel builder, it's probably going to cost you more than $600. So make sure you get a W-9. If you are going to pay for a coaching package or a mastermind of some sort where it's more than $600, ask for a W-9 so that you can write that off at the end and your accountant doesn't hate you. Okay. Because they will say, well, sorry, you can't write that off. So make sure that, you are requesting that W-9 and covering down on that expenditure so that you can claim it. Okay. But lots of times, again, people are reluctant to spend money on these types of things because they're like, well, I'm not sure I'm not making enough yet or whatever. But if you look at it through a different lens, one, if you hire somebody to do something to help you, you get that benefit. It doesn't keep you stuck in a place where you're not getting that benefit. But bigger than that, it gives you, well, that's one piece. That's a big piece, obviously. But another side benefit is the fact that you will also get a tax write-off for spending that money. It's money that you spent in pursuit of doing business, essentially. So cell phones are another expense that you can write off, but this is percentage based on how much time you spend using your phone for business. So for me, for example, my phone is my cell phone is not only for personal use but for business use too. I use it for both, like, right? And, lots of times the accountant will say, well, okay, how much do you estimate you use it for business versus personal? That's very hard qualifier for me because I don't know. Well, like, in all honesty, I'm like, okay, if I started adding it all up, normally we go with a 40-60 split. So 40% of it being business, 60% of it being personal use. Because again, the lines get so blurry, it's hard to make sure that, like, which is which. So if you're using your cell phone for business as well as personal, a percentage of it can be written off. Unless your cell phone, you have a cell phone that is purely business focused. So I do know people who carry around two phones. One is for personal and one is purely for business. So whatever, if you have two phones, one is absolutely for business and you keep it separate from your personal cell phone, then you can totally 100% write that off. But if your phone is for both, then that's a whole different ballgame. You just have to do a kind of a split. But a lot of times people don't know that they can do that, and so they don't write it off. So if your phone bill, for example, your cell phone bill is, I'll just use a round number. If it's $100 a month and you're doing a 40-60 split, $40 a month of that could be wrote off as a business expense. So hopefully that made sense. So let's see. I'm on the 10th one now. Yeah, 10th. Okay, so travel. Now, I want to talk about travel because I've seen a lot of people like promote that they go on vacations and they do all these things and they write them off. So I want to talk about this in I think the right lane, if you will, because there are components of your travel that you can write off. So if you go to a conference, obviously that makes total sense. Like, right, if you go to a conference, it's purely 100% business focused, and you can write off your airfare, your ground transportation, your lodging, any expense that you have during the course of that time. So if you've been thinking, well, wow, you can even write off the ticket expense as well. I'm just saying. So like if you wanted to go to, traffic and conversion or social media marketing world or content, I don't know, any conference out there, you could write off the entire experience essentially. But let's say, for example, that you're going to have what I call a hybrid event, a hybrid travel experience. So I'll just give you a quick example. Now, I didn't do this, but let's say I had. Okay, so when I went on vacation week before last, my family and I went skiing in Colorado. Now, I'll just give you a hypothetical situation. If I had used that opportunity to connect with clients or, have any sort of business related meetings, anything like that, then I could have wrote off parts of my vacation. So, for example, I could have said if I'm flying out to Colorado and part of my day 1 and 2, I'm going to be hosting some business meetings. So I could have wrote off my airfare and the hotel for those 1 or 2 days, right? But I can't write off my family's like travel or lodging or any of that. But keep in mind, I did say I can write off my hotel for maybe the 2 days that I'm conducting business. And if my family just happens to stay in the same hotel room, that's okay, right? So I'm covering down on the expense of the hotel because I have to be there for quote unquote work. So you have to be careful when you're saying, I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to write it all off. You can't do that. That's not legal. But if you do have business application that's sidelining or coming alongside your vacations, there's parts of it that you can potentially write off, but you just have to be careful and you have to document it. I don't want to give you any, like I've seen people talk about their vacations and they're like, yeah, we wrote the whole thing off. You know, my wife works for me and my son works for me, and okay, do they really work for you? So if you're going to write your travel off, just make sure you're doing it ethically, because you don't want this to come back to bite you in the butt. You never want the IRS auditing you, because trust me, they will find things that you just haven't ever thought of. So you always want to be as ethical and above board as you possibly can, for sure, because don't want to draw any attention to yourself in saying, well, wow, look, this person wrote off like $50,000 in travel expenses. What kind of business do they have? Or, that kind of thing. So just be careful with your business expenses or your travel expenses. But there are applications for you to do just that. If I had been smart, I probably would have done that. I would have been like, look at all the people I know in Colorado that are business connections. I could have, met them for lunch or dinner, or, had a mini mastermind, or had a meetup event, or, anything like that, to where I could have, added or deducted a percentage of my vacation expenses as a business travel related expense, if you will. So you just have to be careful with that. But are there any questions? Like, I'm just going to go through them one last time, just to highlight them. I won't again go through them, but if you're just coming in or you joined late and you're like, okay, what was the 10 again? Advertising and promotion. So this is things like Facebook ads, Google ads, etc. Your website expenses, to include things like stock photos, professional fees, your legal fees, your accountants, things of that nature. Education is another big thing. Take advantage of this. I think this is one of the places where you can still take advantage of potentially saving some money on your taxes for 2021, because you got time. You got the rest of today and tomorrow. If you need to invest in, anything, you've had an eye on something, and, maybe it's a training course, or it's a coaching program, or it's a mastermind of some sort, you still have an opportunity to purchase that and use it as a tax write-off for 2021. Interest expenses, any business liabilities. This does not include personal credit cards, okay? But any business liabilities you can use as a write-off. Merchant processing fees. I think sometimes we don't think about those things. Software and online services, subcontractors, cell phones, and the last but not least, which we just talked about, was the travel. So 10 things that you can get, 10 things that I've had to learn the hard way, essentially, when it comes to taking advantage of, getting the most value from our businesses that we can, so that we can keep more of the money that we earn, our hard-earned money, keep it in our own pockets. Yes. So Evelyn makes a great point. Certain things will set off red flags to the IRS on certain business deductions. That's why you have to be super careful and make sure that you that you document things. I love this. Barb talks about this. Longtime entrepreneurs learn to design vacations to maximize deductions. Yes. So hot air ballooning industry, perfect example. So like, I'll just go back to my vacation. If I had reached out to like people that I know out in Colorado, some of them might have said, I'm going to go skiing with you, Kim. And we made a day of it. Like, but we also had a business aspect to that. Like maybe, we at lunch we had, a brainstorming session or, whatever. Or if you have clients in a certain location that you could take on a hot air ballooning experience. Those are all opportunities for you to get smart with how you do your vacations, but yet still have an opportunity to take advantage of the tax write-off. I love that. Um, Excellent. So, Christy is saying, thank you for this wonderful training. Yes, I'm so glad that this was beneficial for you. I haven't been deducting website domain renewals, right? Like, so often there's things that we just don't think about. Like, what are those things? And like I say, they add up. If you haven't been doing even half of these things, if you go back through your records and you say, okay, well, I've spent, like, one thing I think a lot of times people don't think about is all the things they spend monthly on, tools, resources, things that they're, those subscription based things. Sometimes those are like I'll use a quick example. My Go Social Content Club, people who purchase that on a monthly basis, that those are uh, images that they purchase for their socials. That's a business expense for them. And anything that you're paying a monthly fee for that's business focused or business related, you might not have realized that you can deduct that. So take advantage of those opportunities. So um, I run a virtual nutrition and fitness. So Brandy's asking a great question. She says, I run a virtual nutrition and fitness program. When making videos for recipes, would the ingredients count as write-offs? Absolutely. Yes. So like if you're doing I'll just, this kind of in the same lane, but I see a lot of people who are doing, it could be anything, any type of like, I'll give you a couple of examples. I have a friend who sells essential oils. And so she'll do videos around, how do you make a candle, for example, with essential oils, smelly good candles, right? Well, there's a certain amount of, to your, whether you call it ingredients or not, it's kind of ingredients, right? Where she has to put those things together. She has to have them on hand or she has to purchase them, right? At the end of the day, she still had an outlay for them, a monetary outlay. So that is, yes, that is a tax write-off. My friend Shalene, who does a lot of, when she was doing all of her recipes for her Phase It Up program, all of that expenditure when it comes to, which is exactly what you're asking, anything where she's having to physically make the recipes or she's showcasing the recipes in some capacity, yes, that's a monetary outlay. So absolutely, I think that is an expense that you can claim, Brandy. Evelyn, so how about network marketing business? Can you deduct those expenses? That's a great question. So I'm assuming you're asking if you can deduct the expense of your product, your monthly, much time as I've spent in network marketing, and I can't even think of the term, where you have to, it's just, I'm just drawing a blank. Have you ever done that? Like, the word, it's like on the tip of your tongue and you just can't say it. But it basically anything you have to purchase on a monthly basis. I think I would recommend that you ask your accountant on that because I'm not sure. Now, if you're purchasing stuff from your network marketing company that you're giving away to market your business, yes, you can. So, like if you're buying samples, for example, and you're giving those out to attract more people, that's a promotional thing. If you're using it for your own personal use, I'm not sure. But samples, yes, samples for sure, Evelyn. Yes. So anything you're doing to promote. So like, some network marketing companies have like promotional things, promotional packets. Like, they may have a lifestyle magazine or, something where they're showing all the success of the products and that kind of thing. But they usually give you so many of them in your welcome packet. But if you want to continue to use them and you want to pass them out to prospects, then you have to buy additional ones, right? So yeah, those would be something that, you could definitely write off. Your mailing expenses, I think you could, if you're mailing things to people as a part of your promotion, uh, yeah, those are all expenditures that you're doing. It's a promotional expense. So if you're not writing those things off, you absolutely can. So hopefully that's helpful. And now, when I say that, I want to say that please, please, please make sure that if you do have an accountant, that you ask, your accountant just to double check to make sure. But my understanding is that anything that is that you are doing in pursuit of growing your business from a promotional perspective is a write-off. And to include like supplies, like if you're having to purchase like envelopes or any kind of packaging or stamps, postage obviously, but depending on, like, some people are still buying the stamps. We use a little postage machine, but same thing, you're still having to pay for it, right? So whatever you're using definitely is, again, it goes back to, it's an expense for a promotional expense. Um, Coaching, that goes back under, it's kind of like, I think, coaching, mentor, masterminds, any of that kind of thing is a tax write-off. So for example, when all the masterminds I've ever been a part of, I'm in one right now. The yearly fee for that is roughly $50,000. So I'll be able to, if I'd have paid for that all up front in 2021, I'd be able to write that off. But I actually make payment plans, I think, on it. So I have a few more months that'll roll into 2020. So in some cases, you may want to split it up. Like, maybe you have enough deductions in 2021, but that you expect to make more money in 2022, for example. So you want to wait until 2022 to make a big expenditure so that you have a bigger tax write-off for next year. So there's individual situations for everyone, where if you're in a place where you need more tax deductions for this year, then investing in your business with a mastermind of some sort, or some sort of a training program, or those are expenses that you can still incur in 2021 between now and tomorrow. So, all right. Hopefully this has been helpful. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. Your time is valuable. So when you spend some with me, I'm always appreciative. And if there's ever anything I can do, reach out, send me a DM on Instagram. I love talking with you guys. So take care of yourselves. Stay safe. I probably won't talk to you until Monday of next week again, unless I get a chance to talk to you between now and tomorrow. So some of you may be like, yes, I need to call Kim, or I need to get on the phone with Kim and talk about this. If you do, don't forget to book a call. We've got links in the comments. But if I don't see you until Monday of next week, I want to wish you a very, very, I want to say Merry Christmas, but I can't because Christmas is already over. But a very, very happy and blessed New Year. Stay safe. And I'm looking forward to an amazing 2020 in service of my amazing community, you guys. So take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless.